Looking at the magical world from another perspective, author's glass heart, do not enter if you don't like it, communication group. 4791333323, traveling through the magical world, Lu Xian relied on his talent to enter the Guofu team and helped win the championship. Undead innate talent. Comes with a undead space and can summon guardian spirits. Just as Lu Xian was preparing to search for the totem with Jiang Xiaojun, the system arrived. Trigger beginner task, Novice Mage, please go to Bo City to kill the member of the Black Cult, Baiyang. Reward. Summoning Stardust. Time limit. 1 month. Zhao Yun. A piece of red courage calms the chaotic world, holding a long spear to conquer the country. Guan Yu said, pour the wine and I will come soon. Zhang Fei. Me too. Lu Xian. Ko can go, I can also go. The Shark God Totem Supernatural Power Junlin Holy City Chuangying Spirit Plane. Keywords of the novel. Full-time mage. The end of the government, the system has arrived. No pop-ups, full-time mage. The government is over, the system is here. Download the complete set of TXT, full-time mage. The end of the government, is the system here. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Honor Embodiment. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 1 Honor Embodiment, P.S. Brain Storage Area, you may not pay attention to some details when writing. It's great to read fan pictures. I have checked the original work in Baidu for many details, so try to be reasonable. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise them. Don't be too aggressive, everyone should be friendly. This book will be free for members later on, and if you want to add more, you don't need to give a reward. Just read more, and if you have good grades, I will naturally improve more. Thank you to all the readers. This is too fancy, isn't it? What's this? We are the champions of the World Government Competition. Isn't it necessary to enjoy following us? Haha. You're right, but when it comes to it, if it weren't for the captain's undead style, we wouldn't have won the championship. That's right, under our captain's undead faction, even those Egyptians can only stare, ha ha ha. A group of about 10 people were chatting and laughing. As soon as they got off the plane, they were surrounded by a group of people, a sea of people, which was even more exaggerated than the appearance of a celebrity. Welcome back. A middle-aged man walked over quickly and gave the young leader a big hug. At the beginning, everyone had no confidence in this team, but they still managed to break through and win the championship. This is bringing glory to the country. Second uncle. The young man smiled slightly, and if it weren't for the support of his family, he wouldn't have achieved what he has today. He is Lu Xian, the captain of the Guofu team, who, with his almost invincible undead talent, led the Guofu team to win the world number 1. And this middle-aged man is Lu Xian's second uncle, a member of the Chinese Magic Association, and also a super-level mage. Lu Fei. The joy on Lu Fei's face couldn't be suppressed. He was busy with business and didn't go to watch his nephew's final on site, which made him feel a little guilty. When I learned that the Chinese team had won the championship, I wished I could fly to Venice immediately. Wow, you're really fighting for our Lu family. Lu Fei was so excited that he held Lu Xian's arm, his heart filled with excitement. This was much more comfortable than handling those complicated official duties. Uncle Heir, it's okay for you to come alone. You've brought in so many people. Lu Xian's face was full of helplessness. Judging from the crowded scene, it was feared that the next day the whole country would become aware of it. Silly kid, I'm doing this for your own good. Upon hearing these words, Lu Fei immediately tapped Lu Xian's head. Uncle Heir, don't say that kind of thing. I have no interest in officialdom at all. Lu Xian naturally understood Uncle Heir's good intentions and wanted him to join the Magic Association. Perhaps he could take over his position in the future, which was completely understandable. Can you take a look at the empty Mediterranean hairstyle on his head? Lu Xian doesn't want to lower his appearance by wearing a Mediterranean hairstyle. Anyway, I won't force you anymore. So what are your plans? Seeing Lu Xian so decisive, Lu Fei also sighed. The officialdom is like a battlefield, why let his nephew suffer? After careful consideration, I plan to go search for the totem with Xiao Jun. Lu Xian solemnly said, in fact, he also understands that he is not born with dual lineages. Even if he cultivates to the forbidden curse, his true strength is still not comparable to that of an emperor. Lu Xian didn't want to rely on Mo Fan for hope after reaching the forbidden curse, and he only had a deep sense of powerlessness. As a traveler, Lu Xian has his own pride, and he doesn't want to regret why he didn't show a little courage at night in the future. As for the Xiao Jun he mentioned, he is also a member of the Nationalist Army and the biological brother of the original work Jiang Shaoxiu, a guy who is so obsessed with totems that he is almost obsessed with them. In order to go further in the future, Lu Xian has made an agreement with Jiang Shaojun to search for those unknown totems together. At first, Jiang Shaojun was completely forced to be sent to the Nationalist Army, with only one shadow in the Nationalist Army formation. In the end, it was Lu Xian who used totem-related information to manipulate him. When Jiang Shaojun learned that Lu Xian was also interested in totems, he wished he could immediately become sworn brothers with Lu Xian. Lu Xian knew the location of many totems. Although Hai Dongqing and Yumath Huang already had guardians, there were no guardians in the vicinity of the island country. Perhaps they could cut off a beard. As for Zhao Manyan, Lu Xian didn't even know him, so it was impossible for him to give up such a powerful combat power to someone else due to his unwavering emotions. Of course, Lu Xian also wanted to go and search for those 4 holy totems, but the white tiger only left behind a direct bloodline Tianshan white tiger, and the vermilion bird had already fallen, leaving only the remaining feathers of Lanyang city. Although there was still a body of the heavenly divine bird, there was a skeleton of the Sea King guarding it. Going now is to give it a tooth sacrifice. Although Xuanwu may still be alive, there is no clue at all. It is feared that all the sea areas will have to be turned upside down to find it. As for Qinglong, there's no need to think about it anymore. It's already bound to Mo Fan, and even if Lu Xian snatches it, it's just a stone. If not, Lu Xian doesn't mind being a bad person. Totem. Lu Fei murmured, he also knew some things about totems, and he had heard that Jiang Shaojun of the Jiang family was obsessed with totems. It may not be a bad thing for the two of them to search for totems. Although this is a road full of thorns, it cannot be denied that in order to break through further, experience is essential. And the totems are full of unknowns, saying there can't be any unexpected power. You kid, let's not talk about these totems for now. Have you ever thought about when to return home? Big brother has found a marriage for you, just to help you calm down as soon as possible. Lu Fei smiled and said that he had no children and had already regarded Lu Xian as his own child. In order to have a grandson as soon as possible, he had no objection to this marriage. Marriage. Lu Xian's eyes widened as he had just returned and had a marriage arranged for him. He was really playing tricks on his son. Yeah, you're still the daughter of the Demon City Mu family, the Mu Nu Jiao. She has excellent looks and talents, but you're making a fortune. Mu Nu Jiao, Lu Xian never expected it to be Mu Nu Jiao. Counting the time, she is 3 or 4 years younger than himself. However, it seems that the only one who can match his current identity in the Mu family is Mu Nujio, the granddaughter of the head of the Mu family. Second uncle, don't laugh at me anymore. You're all single now, why am I in a hurry? Lu Xian quickly evaded, saying that he was not a gentleman, and that his words were a bit off. Of course, he was not trying to please the pastoral slaves. I have devoted great youth to my country and family, and now I cannot let him be well behaved. If we get engaged, wouldn't other girls miss out on us? After years of hard work and cultivation, can't you still enjoy it well? You kid, you're here to make fun of your second uncle, isn't your skin itching again? Lu Fei laughed and cursed, this kid really needs to be cleaned up. Anyway, we have to try getting along first. Lu Xian muttered that he was not rejecting Mu Nujio, but rather felt that instead of making Mu Nujio hate his fiancée Ae, it was better to get along slowly and once again take control of his body and mind. Make progress by retreating. If you have any objections, go tell the big brother yourself. With the big brother's violent temper, I dare not touch the mold. Lu Fei thought of his big brother's iron fist of love, and his sturdy body couldn't help but tremble. Uncle, do you have any achievements? You're so old that you're even afraid of my dad. There's no way, big brother is too scary. You say that, how dare I tell dad about this? Ha ha ha. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. The system has finally arrived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. The system has finally arrived. Looking at his teammates who were leaving one after another, Lu Xian also felt a little emotional. He didn't know when the next time we would gather again would be. Don't look, it's not like you can't see it again in the future. The speaker was Jiang Xiaojun, young and handsome. Even standing next to Lu Xian, he was not inferior in any way. In this team, Lu Xian has the closest relationship with him, except for girls. Lu Xian glanced at Jiang Xiaojun in surprise and said, "Aren't you shouting every day to go back and see your sister? Why don't you hurry back to your home country now? Isn't it urgent? When can't my sister meet?" Jiang Xiaojun put his hand around Lu Xian's shoulder and said with a smile, "My younger sister is soft and cute. She can definitely impress you. How about you come with me to take a look?" Soft and cute. Lu Xian rolled his eyes. As for Jiang Fox, he really didn't know how Jiang Xiaoshu, who was calm and mature and charming in the original work, managed to tease his brother. "How many times have you been showing off your sister to me, and are you in such a hurry to send her out?" Lu Xian roasted that although he was also curious about what Jiang Fox looked like, now was not the time. "I believe in your character." Jiang Xiaojun smiled awkwardly. He really had some doubts in his heart. Lu Xian had talent and background, and his future prospects were limitless. It can be said that almost no one among his peers could surpass him. And Lu Xian is his good buddy. The fat and water don't flow into outsiders' fields. "I definitely want to take a look at your sister, but it's not right now. Your sister is not yet an adult, so if I go now, it will become a strange sight." Lu Xian self-deprecatingly said that he is 20 years old this year and has 5 months to go until he is 20.1 years old. If calculated based on a 4-year term, Jiang Xiaoshu's approximate age is 16 or 17 years old. He doesn't want to kidnap his little sister. That's right, let's first talk about totems. I already have some clues to totems in my hand, but organizing them will take some time. I remember you told me you knew the location of some totems. When it comes to totems, Jiang Xiaojun's interest immediately rises, truly deserving of being a totem maniac. Speaking of which, Jiang Xiaojun's 3 factions are the Soul faction, the Water faction, and the Earth faction, which are quite suitable for dominating. Unfortunately, when the nationalist government team went to the island country pavilion was not set up in the large version, which resulted in Lu Xian not having the opportunity to get that wooden fish. If there is a chance in the future, Lu Xian would like to take him to the island country again, but he is not in a hurry yet. I do know where Hai Dongqing is, but there are several super-level mages there who are not friendly to outsiders. Even if we go there, we can only lie down and come out. Lu Xian said helplessly. In addition to Haidongqing, Xiaoyu also has treasures like the Land Holy Spring. The Black Phoenix Song Feiyao relied on it to reach the pinnacle of the super level all the way. Unfortunately, if you want to break through the forbidden curse, you still need to have a solid foundation. It's so terrifying, then forget it. Jiang Xiaojun's jaw dropped in shock. A super level mage, one is enough to crush him. I plan to take a break and organize those materials first. In the future, the two of us will form a combination and call it Totem Twin Heroes. If you get this title, I'll kill you. 1 week later. Lu Xian, you bastard. Jiang Shaojun angrily walked up to Lu Xian and grabbed his collar, shouting angrily, "It's been so many days now. What do you really want?" At first, he thought Lu Xian was preparing to search for the totem, but day by day, there was no movement at all. "You're so foolish. I have so many resources now, I can't wait for me to digest them properly." Lu Xianbai glanced at Jiang Shaojun and won the championship of the World University competition. As the captain, he received enough resources to steadily break through the super level. The most precious thing is a high-quality star C heavenly vein, but unfortunately, Lu Xian still has a long way to go before he can break through the super level. Without sufficient confidence, he will not absorb this star C heavenly vein. The star C heavenly vein only increases the probability of breaking through the super level, and each person can only absorb one. "Have you improved your cultivation again?" Jiang Shaojun showed a surprised expression. No matter how many resources there were, it was impossible to break through so quickly. "Well, the light system has broken through to the second level. Don't tote totems every day. With your current strength, even if you encounter totems, you won't be able to look up to you." Lu Xianman said with disdain, "This guy is completely mesmerized. When can't you find a totem? Now, being strong is the most important thing. Demon, why are you breaking through as easily as drinking water?" Jiang Shaojun let out a mournful cry. After entering the advanced level, each level of cultivation requires time to accumulate, but it seems that this problem does not exist in this guy at all. Lu Xianbai glanced at Jiang Shaojun, walked straight to the sofa, sat up, picked up the cup from the coffee table, and drank it all in one gulp. He cultivates so quickly entirely because of his innate talent. The undead space. Not only can it summon ancient soldiers, but it can also summon ancient generals, equivalent to guardian spirits. Of course, the strength and quantity depend on his undead cultivation level. His current undead lineage is a high-level 3rd level, and the strength of the summoned undead generals is below that of the monarch level. The specific strength depends on the number of souls and remnants swallowed. The more he swallows, the stronger his strength will be. Moreover, the improvement of the strength of the undead general can also slightly benefit himself, which is also the reason why Lu Xian cultivates so quickly. Lu Xian is now able to summon 3 generals, namely Zhao Yun, Zhang Fei, and Ma Chao. The strength of these 3 generals is above the level of commander, and Zhao Yun is even above the level of commander. Unlike the undead in Egypt, what Lu Xian summoned was a well-trained army of undead soldiers, not lifeless but with a chilling and awe-inspiring aura. Jiang Shaojun saw that Lu Xian was ignoring him and immediately said, "If you don't go, I'll go alone." "Big brother, with your strength, going to be a demon's food is about the same." Lu Xian rolled his eyes. This guy is too reckless and can't control his temper at all. He still needs to hone his temper. "You have the skill to shout, why don't you go practice or go back to see your sister?" "You." Jiang Shaojun was choked and couldn't find any reason to refute, but there was a suffocating feeling in his chest that couldn't be released for a long time. Seeing Jiang Shaojun's rising popularity, Lu Xian also put aside his jokes and turned to saying, "All right, I won't tease you anymore. We'll set off in a few days." "Is it really fake?" "Of course it's true. How have you been organizing your information for so many days?" "Based on the most reliable clue, I infer that there is a clue about totems near Fishman Village, and Fishman Village is not far from Magic City." "You're really a talent. In just a few days, you've discovered this thing. What about the types and quantities of monsters nearby?" Lu Xian was completely convinced of this guy. If it weren't for him following him, he wouldn't have stumbled any time. "Ah. We still need to check these." Jiang Shaojun clearly has no experience as a hunter. Lu Xian chuckled, I really don't know where he got the courage to search for the totem. Ding, the system is activating. A heavenly sound echoed in his mind, and the system that Lu Xian had been waiting for 20 years had arrived. Activation successful, start beginner guidance. Trigger beginner task, Novice Mage, please go to Bo City to kill the member of the Black Cult, Baiyang. Reward. Summoning Stardust. Time limit. 1 month. Novice Mage. Lu Xian has directly settled in Bengbu. Even if he faces a super-level mage, he is not afraid at all. Is this also considered a novice mage? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Novice Village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Novice Village, Baiyang. Lu Xian carefully examined the task and realized that this guy is just a beginner mage. Dealing with such a guy is just a matter of magic. How about when do we leave? Jiang Shaojun saw Lu Xian stunned and pushed his shoulder. What's going on? Upon hearing the sound in his ear, Lu Xiankai slowly regained his senses and glanced at the anxious Jiang Shaojun before continuing, we're not going to Fishman Village anymore. Let's go to Bo City, where there are clues to totems. Now that the system has arrived, he naturally is not in a hurry to find the totem. Finding that thing is both laborious and dangerous, but it is still the system task that is more enjoyable. Summoning Stardust, as long as he completes the task, Lu Xian will have 4 series, which are standard equipment for super-level mages. And with the summoning system, he can also hold on to the hundreds-of-year-old ante of Opus. However, to complete this task, one still needs Su Tuji. Baiyang is an undercover military mage in Bucheng, and in order to properly kill Baiyang, one needs the help of Jiang Shaojun. He must be fooled and persuaded to go to Bucheng, and the only thing that can interest Chiang Kai-shek is the totem. Bo City. Where are the clues to totems? Are you sure? Jiang Shaojun's face was full of doubts. He worked hard to organize the clues for a few days, but when you said you were going to Bucheng, you made a fool of me, right? Lu Xian revealed a mysterious smile and uttered 2 words. Qinglong. Qinglong. One of the 4 holy totems. Qinglong is in Bo Pu, there's a clue about Qinglong in Bo City. Jiang Shaojun was about to say if Qinglong was in Bucheng, but then he realized that if Bucheng had Qinglong as its guardian, it would have been well known in China long ago. Now, do you think we should go to Bucheng or Fishman Village? Lu Xuanhuan hugged his arm and slightly raised his chin, saying to Jiang Shaojun. Of course it's Bo City. Fishman Village is not a ghost place where dogs go. Jiang Shaojun said decisively, it is clear that the attraction of the sage totem is even greater. Then why don't you go buy the ticket? Let's go now. Bucheng. This is Bucheng, it looks a bit outdated. Put away your young master's airs, I think this place is quite suitable for tourism. You don't plan to develop the tourism industry here, do you? When have you been so short of money? I'm just saying it. Lu Xian and Jiang Shaojun had just come out of the train station, looking at the bustling streets, they didn't know where to go for a moment. Unlike the ubiquitous mages in the Magic City, the streets of Bucheng are mostly ordinary people. Lu Xian stood on the roadside for a moment, feeling a bit emotional. How can there be a sense of discord when a big shot comes to the novice village? Where are we going now? We can't just stick around on this street, can we? Jiang Shaojun wore sunglasses on his forehead and a black jacket, which was rare in this Bo City and caught the attention of passers-by. Go to Tianlan High School. Although this is Lu Xian's first time coming to Bucheng, he knows one place, which is Tianlan High School. Just at this point in time, I'm afraid the school is already on vacation. Tianlan High School. What are you doing in this high school? Why, you're sending your future child to study here. Get lost, I want to send you here to study. Lu Xian laughed and cursed, then walked straight to the security room at the school gate and asked kindly, "Excuse me, can we go in?" The security guard heard the sound and slowly raised his head, casting a drowsy glance at the two young people. He waved his hand and said, "Do you know what place this is? This is Tianlan High School, where magicians are trained. No one can enter without permission." This security guard is relatively young and looks like he's only in his 20s. How many years have he missed the detour? Yu Jiang Xiaojun was so angry that he immediately came up. At least he was also a member of the Nationalist Army, a high-level mage who was despised by a security guard. Lu Xian quickly stopped Jiang Xiaojun, took out a hunter certificate and placed it in front of the security guard. He slowly said, "We are wizards and would like to see your principal." "See principal, which onion are you? You deserve it too." The security guard thought it was two people who were causing trouble and was about to get angry when Yu Guang glanced at the certificate. I saw the hunter's certificate prominently read. Lu Xian, Advanced Mage, Master of 2-star Hunters. Advanced Mage. The security guard immediately dropped his chin, his eyes filled with fear, and his mind suddenly became confused. In Bo City, high-level mages are like heavenly beings. He has poked a hornet's nest, indicating that this job is also going to cool down. "Master, I have an 80-year-old wife above me and a 50-year-old stepson below. Please let me go." 80-year-old wife. Lu Xian was taken aback. "Good guy, not only did you avoid taking detours for decades, but you also had poor teeth. Then why don't you hurry up and notify me? Are you forcing me to engage in violence?" Lu Xian knocked on the window and urged. Immediately, make a phone call." The security guard frantically searched for a while before finding the phone number of a security captain. "Cui Gu, I have a high-level wizard in his 20s here who wants to see the principal. I don't have the principal's phone number, could you please inform me?" "Who are you bluffing at? A high-level mage in his 20s, why don't you go to heaven? You're really in your 20s, brother Cui. Please hurry up, otherwise my job won't be guaranteed. Forget it, if you dare to lie to me, you'll be dead." After making the phone call, the security guard immediately came to Lu Xian's side, nodding and bowing, completely different from before. A high-level mage in his 20s, after learning the news, Principal Zhu couldn't sit still. A high-level wizard in his 20s is definitely not an ordinary person. Principal Zhu didn't care if the news was true or false, so he walked out of the principal's office directly. Fortunately, it was only a few minutes away from the school gate. At the moment of seeing Lu Xian, Principal Zhu felt that he would not be surprised for the next year because he had already finished a year's worth of food today. The person who came is actually the captain of the Guofu team, Lu Xian, who won the World University Competition Championship for China. Principal Zhu is at least a high school principal, so he naturally pays attention to the World University Competition, and this time the Guofu team has won the championship. The day he won the championship was a nationwide shock, and Lu Xian's almost invincible heroic demeanor also deeply stimulated many young people. Captain Lu Xian, long admired. Principal Zhu immediately ran over, with a smile on his face that couldn't stop. It's an honor for the young generation to be the first to visit Tianlan High School. Principal Zhu, you're welcome. If we come here recklessly, it may cause you trouble. Lu Xian had no intention of using his identity to oppress others. Although the feeling of being respected was very pleasant, he appeared somewhat foolish. Who is this? Principal Zhu only then noticed Jiang Xiaojun beside Lu Xian. His attention had been focused on Lu Xian, so he thought only one person had come. You don't know me. Jiang Xiaojun, he's also a member of the Nationalist Army. Jiang Xiaojun pointed at himself and said, his face full of anger. Compared to Lu Xian, the difference in treatment was too great. The original work Mo Fan won the championship of the World University Competition, but few people know about it. This is because there are not many people promoting it, and even some ancestors deliberately smear it, which is truly tragic. And the Lu family behind Lu Xian is naturally heavily promoted, which is a good time to enhance the family's reputation. Sorry, I do. Of course I do. Although Principal Zhu spoke like this, Jiang Shaojuan's ears were filled with perfunctory words, so angry that he could only stomp his feet. I wonder why Captain Lu Xian came to our school. The national government competition has ended, just call me Lu Xian by Principal Zhu. I came here to ask if your sophomore students are on vacation. Lu Xian said. Is that all? Principal Zhu's face was full of disbelief. He came to our school with such a big move, and the result was just for this matter. He thought that Lu Xian was running to teach students magic knowledge and magic spirit, and his originally excited mood was immediately poured with cold water. They are undergoing field training and only set off in the morning. Although Principal Zhu was very uneasy, he still answered the question. Wild experience. Lu Xian murmured, just in time to take a look at Baiyang's goods. With Jiang Shaojun present, there were plenty of opportunities for him to reveal his flaws. Principal Zhu, can you give us a specific address? There's no problem with that, it's just a bit far away. If you really want to go, our school bus can take you there. Although Principal Zhu had some doubts about the two high-level mages going to see a group of students in the wilderness, he still took the initiative to say. Thank you very much, Principal. Both Lu Xian and Jiang Shaojun don't have any style or space, so it's better to take a car with ease. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The Underbeaten Hunter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Underbeaten Hunter Zufengshan Station. Hello, why is another school bus coming? Didn't the students from Tianlan High School arrive long ago? A few students probably overslept, right? If I can oversleep, I won't be able to bloom my butt when I go back. The hunters on this side started discussing when they saw the school bus. The two people pulled by this school bus were Lu Xian and Jiang Shaojun. To be honest, the bumps along the way made Lu Xian want to walk down to earth. If he uses magic tools, his speed is much faster than this school bus. Oh, I'm not a student yet. It's possible that I'm here for tourism. Hee, there are still people coming here to travel these days, can't you think of anything? Listening to the mockery around him, Jiang Shaojun felt a bit guilty on his face. No matter how advanced he was also a high-level mage. He immediately pointed at the hunter and said, Hey, the guy next to him, what's wrong with traveling? It's really bothering you. Most of these hunters are beginner mages, even if they all go up together, Jiang Shaojun is not afraid at all. Ha, I didn't expect to be a thorn in the head. Old Mo, you must teach him a good lesson. Right, make these outsiders look down on us, play with him. Hunters around are setting fires one after another, and they stay here all year round, so naturally they don't mind the excitement. Hey, kid, I apologize now. I can skip teaching you a lesson. The hunter named Lao Mo also stood up, 1.8 meters tall, with a fierce scar on the corner of his mouth. A flame suddenly rose from his palm, looking difficult to provoke. These two young people are miserable, Lao Mo's flames are not comfortable. Who let him provoke Lao Mo himself? He deserves it. These hunters have completely forgotten that they are the one who started the fire. Lu Xian sighed, and these hunters were only grateful that they had not encountered people like Tang Buddha. Be low-key in life, especially when your strength is weak. Is that all? I can't even control a small flame well. Jiang Shaojun sneered, a light blue water ball floating in his hand and constantly changing its shape. It looked even more powerful than that little flame no matter what. After reaching a higher level, even mages of the same lineage may take different paths due to different levels of control. However, there is no doubt that with control, even a small beginner's magic can have considerable power. Master of the water system, now Lao Mo is at a disadvantage. What are you afraid of? Water mages can only defend themselves. That's right, Lao Mo, do him quickly. In the eyes of all hunters, these two young people are just newcomers to magic and cannot defeat the beginner level 3 Lao Mo. What about the water mage? I'm giving you a chance. Lao Mo immediately began to link the star orbit, and the small flames suddenly grew larger. Fire. Burning. A red fireball rushed straight towards Jiang Xiaojun, and the nearest school bus driver even felt a heat wave. Lao Mo still kept a hand. It was just a first-level fire, even if it attacked the mage, it wouldn't cause too much damage. Ha! Jiang Xiaojun chuckled lightly, and the water ball automatically became a barrier in front of him, while the fireball was immediately extinguished by the water spray. He doesn't seem to have a linked star orbit, does he? Fuck your mother, are you stupid? How can you cast magic without a linked star track? He really doesn't have a linked orbit, I'll testify to him. Hunters, including Lao Mo, are all dumbfounded. They have never seen such a method in this Bo city. Using magic without linking star orbits is not in line with magic. Just give it a quick lesson. Lu Xian patted Jiang Xiaojun's shoulder and stepped on their faces, so he naturally wouldn't have a good expression. Jiang Xiaojun nodded, and just as he was about to release the magic, a very neutral voice came. Who is releasing the magic here? I don't know if there is a rule not to use magic at the post station. The person who came was a female military mage wearing a green military uniform. As soon as this woman arrived, the group of hunters became honest. It's the two of them who came to cause trouble. Yes, they came to the post station to cause trouble and even got into a fight with Lao Mo. Two old fogies said that they hung their heads on their waistbands. Naturally, there was no moral bottom line, and they directly poured dirty water on Lu Xian and his wife. What are you two doing here? You're still taking the school bus from Tianlan High School. The female military mage obviously didn't directly believe the words of the old fogies. The two young people are very handsome and don't look like bad people. Besides, she knows the nature of the old fogies very well. And she also noticed the school bus next to them. Those who can take the school bus are definitely related to Tianlan High School. This should prove our identity. Lu Xian glanced coldly at the two old greaseballs and took out the hunter's card. Lu Xian. The female military mage muttered in silence, why does this name sound a bit familiar? Then she looked down, advanced mage. Upon seeing this, she immediately widened her eyes and glanced at her hunter certificate, Master 2-Star Hunter. What kind of demon is this? Such a young high-level mage. Someone stole a glance at the hunter's license and initially didn't take it seriously. After all, the hunter's license doesn't seem like anyone doesn't have it. But the few big characters on it directly made his heart attack come out. Advanced Mage. Master 2-Star Hunter. They didn't kick the steel plate, they kicked the 24K alloy nuclear warhead. Master, they have offended you. Please rest assured that we will handle it. The female military mage immediately said, these two young people seem to have a lot of background, they can't be from Baiyang. If they shake their legs casually, these hunters will probably disappear inexplicably. On the other hand, she was trying to save them. You hunters are too restless, that's why you have always been beginner mages. Lu Xian said coldly, of course he won't deal with these people. It's too shameful, but he still needs to do some humiliation. The old faces of these hunters turned red, and there was no way to refute them. Others were high-level mages in their early 20s, and their last bit of dignity was trampled on. 100 years old without ambition. I am Pan Lijun, the deputy officer of Zhankong, the leader of the Baiyang military headquarters. Are the two masters here for any purpose? Pan Lijun thought that the two were here to carry out a mission, or perhaps there were some powerful demons nearby. Deputy Pan, I would like to meet your leader. If you want to get close to and expose Baiyang, then you must get to know Zhang Kong. Speaking of which, the two still have some connection. Zhang Kong was a former member of the Guofu team, and Lu Xian is the captain of this Guofu team. However, the two of them are vastly different now. They have come all the way to Bucheng and have completely given up. When the original work arrived in the ancient capital, it was many years since they were part of the Guofu team, and as a result, they were only high-level mages and Lu Xian's distance from reaching the super level is only 2 years at most. In terms of combat power, even if Lu Xian lets the two factions of slaying the sky, he can't hold on for 10 rounds. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Student Worship. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Student Worship. As long as any team or individual among the 100 students completes this bounty, all of your experience evaluations will pass and you will receive an A. A burly and slightly rugged-looking officer was standing in front of a group of immature students giving a lecture, each of whom had their heads raised and dared not look directly at the officer, as if he was going to eat people. Panli Jun, didn't you say you were going out for a trip? Why did you come back now and bring 2 handsome guys? It's not like you're on good terms, is it? A military mage saw Panli Jun, but as for Lu Xian and these 2 young people, he completely ignored them. Find me. Zhang Xiaoho next to him looked bewildered, thinking that Mo Fan was talking to him. Mo Fan, who will achieve the Dharma God in the future, is only a beginner mage now, and a high-level mage is an unattainable existence in his eyes. There is a feeling of being used to staying in high-resource areas and suddenly arriving at the novice village one day. You should be the captain of this Guofu team. Lu Xian, right. Senior Zhankong, students' experience is important. You should first handle important matters. Totem. Although I know a little bit, I really don't know if there are any totem clues in this Bo city. After all, I'm not a native here either. However, it is also a pleasure to see De Mofen eat his food. At first, someone was peeking at Lu Xian's handsome face, but after being beheaded and lightly shouted, all those fangirls were honest. For these blooming girls, Lu Xian, a handsome brother like him, is undoubtedly a deadly poison. Get out of here. Jiang Xiaojun cursed. Zhang Kong shook his head. He didn't have much interest in totems and other literary things, so he had to go and kill demons. Panli Jun gave him a glare. With such a young and advanced mage, can anyone else value her? I have watched your competition and it's really outstanding. Your performance in the World University competition is not a match for me. The person next to him is Mo Fan. At this time, Mo Fan is still very immature and has only a partial understanding of magic knowledge. The whole scene was in a state of uproar, especially among these military mages. Slaying the heir was equivalent to their faith, but now their faith is saying that he is not a match for this young man. There was an uproar. This was much more practical than a bounty mission, and many students were staring red. This was the best opportunity to get in touch with Lu Xian. Looking at these students wearing Tianlan High School uniforms, Lu Xian's eyes were extremely complicated. Zhang Kong ignored these students and walked straight to Lu Xian, his eyes full of surprise and doubt. As a former member of the Guofu team, he didn't pay much attention to this World University competition. In his opinion, the results were just like that, whether high or low. Just a little guidance can save you a lot of detours. I must get the best review this time. When it comes to totems, Jiang Xiaojun feels like a different person. When it comes to speaking, others can't even get in the way. The fact is that, according to Speaker Xiao Zheng, the number of Chinese demons is among the top 5 in the world, but they occupy around 20 resources. Do you know about the World University competition? Zhang Kong carefully examined Lu Xian and suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. It was not until he learned that Huaxia had won the championship that he specifically checked the information of the team members and ultimately came to a conclusion. Captain Lu Xian is completely a demon. Zhang Kong Sr. Regardless of their background, it's not our business. As long as it doesn't affect their training and assessment, it's okay, said Mo Fan. After the students left one after another, Zhang Kong came to Lu Xian and said, "You can talk now." Zhang Kong had a majestic and serious posture, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. It was the first time in all these years that someone had come to find him. Yes, it's a totem. Totems, you know, were the creatures that guarded humanity in ancient times. They were incredibly powerful but very close to humans. Don't look, it's just me talking to you. Why, you look down on this competition? The boss, they have something to ask you for. In this situation, the well-being and work of the people are all piled up by mages with their lives, and the mortality rate is the highest in the world. That's right. Isn't it just a game, as for that? Seeing Jiang Xiaojun teasing Mo Fan, Lu Xian also chuckled lightly. With such a big person, he still looks like a child. Blue-haired student Mu Bai sneered, saying that as long as he could see Mo Fan eating flat, he could feel an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. Mu Bai clenched his fist. This is a stronger existence than the Mu family combined. If he were to accept himself as a disciple, it would be completely developed. Lu Xuanxue's personal guidance. Class monitor Zhou Min's eyes were full of excitement. If someone performs well, I will also take the time to give some guidance, Lu Xian said. How did he manage to make it so that he could hear without speaking? What kind of magic is this? High school education only focuses on elemental magic. To learn about other magic departments, one must search for information, but this is clearly not Mo Fan's personality. Do you still expect him to know about the World University competition? He entered Tianlan High School through the back door. Although being worshipped by the students in the novice village may seem a bit satisfying, it is important to be relaxed and moderate, and it is not too late to enjoy it again next time. How do I feel that this person looks familiar? Lu Xian said absent-mindedly. Of course he knew where Qinglong was, just to block Jiang Xiaojun's mouth. I'm just saying I'm a bit familiar with it. It turns out it's Lu Xian, the captain of the Nationalist Army team. He's a big name. Han Lijun whispered to herself. If you can't speak, just shut up. Zhang Kong nodded. Although curious about Lu Xian's purpose in coming here, it was still more important to reprimand the students in front of him. A thin and weak student who looked like a monkey said to the person next to him. How did you do it? Mo Fan said. Mo Fan muttered, although his voice was not loud, many people still heard it, and Jiang Xiaojun also noticed. Hey, kid, do you know what this competition means? A blue-haired student in the crowd carefully scrutinized Lu Xian. Although he had an answer in his mind, he immediately denied it. Brother Fan, what do you think their origins are? It doesn't seem easy. This person is Mo Fan's close ally and future general. Zhang Xiaoho. But so what? Lu Xian is bringing glory to the country, and he is also honored. Lu Xian looked at Zhang Kong helplessly. This guy really has a dark stomach. Mu Bai looked at Lu Xian's tall figure, with a hint of admiration in his eyes. Master, be like this. At this moment, Zhou Min, who looked handsome, stared at Lu Xian and said, in the previous academic competitions, our country only stopped at the quarterfinals, maybe even the top 16, preferably only the top 4. It wasn't until his appearance that this situation was completely changed, and he helped China win the championship in one fell swoop. Lu Xian. Do you know who this person is? Mo Fan was very puzzled as to why even the seemingly large beheading instructor claimed to be no match. After setting up a reward in the air, intentionally pushed Lu Xian out. I want to cause trouble, but it also starts with your sister. 193.42.24.95 Mo Fan turned his head and didn't speak until he met the gaze of the man next to Lu Xian and realized that he was speaking. Fan Gu, who are you talking to? First this way, then that, and that's it. Jiang Shaojuan's eyes were full of contempt, and since he arrived in Bucheng, this guy has never mentioned anything about totems. Not only him, but also many students have expressed that they seem to have seen it on TV or mobile phones, but they do not want to believe that it is themselves who came. Lu Xian, you're not here for a group of female students, are you? Zhang Kong was a former member of the Guofu team, and there was no problem for Lu Xian to call him a senior. Zhang Kong burst out laughing. Lu Xian's talent was too exaggerated, especially in combat. He was not a match for Lu Xian even with 2 more. It's about totems. As you know, we're new here and don't know anything about Bo City at all, so we wanted to ask if you have any clues about totems. Any clues are fine. Of course, there are still many fans screaming, it's really crazy. Totem. Are you talking about totems? A refreshing and charming voice came from afar. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The more you shout, the more excited I become. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The more you shout, the more excited I become. At first glance, Lu Xianding was dressed in a perfectly normal professional attire. However, the eager appearance of the big rabbit made it impossible to take his gaze away. In addition, his seductive fox-like eyes and long black silk legs exuded temptation all over his body, making him a seductive and beautiful teacher. Such a charming and beautiful teacher, besides Tang Yu, Lu Xian couldn't think of anyone else. As a probationary judge, Tang Yu has been dedicated to investigating the clues of the Black Church, but unfortunately, they have not been investigated. Not bad, we are very interested in totems, and we came to Bo City to find clues about totems. As Lu Xian spoke, his gaze couldn't help but feel like he was shifting towards Tang Yu's long black legs, which were even longer than Huaizhu's beautiful legs. Lu Xian. Tang Yume looked at the person in front of her with complex eyes. Her talent was already very good, but compared to Lu Xian, she was still far behind. Even the trial tried to recruit Lu Xian more than once, but unfortunately they were all rejected. Tang Yu naturally noticed Lu Xian's gaze. If it were anyone else, she might have been a bit unhappy, but attracting this stunning genius made her feel a little excited. Moreover, Lu Xian's appearance is not impeccable, and he completely dislikes it. P.S. Just as handsome as all the readers. If you want to find totems, you should go to Hangzhou, not to Bucheng. Bucheng doesn't have any totems. Tang Yu cannot yet reveal her identity as a judge, let alone as a totem guardian. Without totems, wouldn't you have heard anything about the legend of the Blue Dragon? Jiang Shaojun asked stubbornly, not believing that Lu Xian would shoot aimlessly. Lu Xian glanced at Jiang Shaojun, who was really a pig teammate. Fortunately, Qinglong was not an undisclosed secret. Qinglong. That's all legendary. You're actually looking for this elusive existence. Zhankong was full of doubts. If he was looking for a totem and had a bit of persuasiveness, then the Qinglong was completely ethereal to him. Who says a legend must be false? Lu Xian shrugged his shoulders. Not only does Qinglong exist, but its vessels are also around the neck of a student. That's right, there are rumors that totems have helped humans overcome a very difficult period, and I believe they must exist. Otherwise, when we didn't have magic before, how did we survive under the blood of all the demons? It must be the totems that have protected us. I must find the totems and recast them for glory. I cannot shirk my duty. Jiang Shaojun said with great confidence that he believed his mission was to uncover the secrets of these totems. You're really young. Zhankong looked at Jiang Shaojun and let out a long sigh. This guy looked very similar to him in the past. Lu Xian didn't even want to listen to Jiang Shaojun's second-year declaration, so he slipped over to Tang Yu and showed a friendly smile. How to address this teacher? Tang Yu. Tang Yu admitted that her talent was already good, but standing by Lu Xian's side, she still had a slight sense of inferiority. The difference between the two was too great. Teacher Tang Yu, at first glance, is a teacher with a big mind. Rogue. Tang Yu gave Lu Xian a white glance, and she couldn't hear anything out of this guy's words. I heard that you can summon an ancient general, could you please demonstrate it? Tang Yume's eyes showed a hint of curiosity. Although she could see some scattered videos on her phone, the feeling of first-hand contact was definitely different. I also want to see, may I know if it's feasible? Zhang Kong looked at Lu Xian curiously. Although there was a competition video, what he saw with his own eyes was definitely different. Both of you have said so, naturally there is no problem. Looking at the dazzling red lips, Lu Xian chuckled lightly and agreed directly. With Lu Xian's current achievements, there are countless beautiful women throwing themselves at him in China, but he has not done so. Without the blessing of his soul, the physical collision is too rigid. If he didn't have a moral bottom line, he could have turned into a walking pile driver. In the past, those Guofu teams that crossed over had countless fans, and Lu Xian had a certain level of fame in the world. It can be said that Lu Xian can now fully realize Zhao Menyan's dream. Although Lu Xian has astonishing talent and extraordinary achievements, directly crushing his peers, it does not mean that Tang Yu lacks any pride. It is impossible for her to do such a thing as delivering goods to her doorstep. If Lu Xian actively pursues her, she will not refuse. Zilong, come out and move your hands and feet. Lu Xian let out a soft drink, and immediately a silver wave appeared behind him, eventually turning into an aperture. Yes, my lord. A silver-armored general who is 8 feet tall and holds a long spear, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, handsome and graceful, a white face that doesn't need to be worn, and a broad and dignified face, exuding a majestic aura. A sense of solemnity rushed towards his face, and a huge sense of oppression overwhelmed several people. Even as a high-level mage, Zhang Kong's breathing became somewhat rapid. It's strange that there's no dead energy on my body. Zhang Kong suppressed his palpitations and carefully examined the silver-armored general, smacking his tongue and his eyes filled with amazement. In fact, when Lu Xian was first summoned, he was also surprised. However, upon closer examination, he found that his talents were somewhat similar to those of guardian spirits and heroic spirits. Not only does it have extraordinary combat power, but it's also not as brainless and difficult to control as undead creatures. Lu Xian doesn't even need to command, and they can fight normally. This silver-armored general is the first general summoned by Lu Xian. Zhao Yun, who can be considered to have grown with Lu Xian. Even in the world government competition, Lu Xian only allowed Zhao Yun to play, and Ma Chao and Zhang Fei never played. He didn't want to be targeted by Holy City too early. Although having this talent represents that one will eventually fight against the Holy City, it is still far from the right time. At least one must have the strength to reign in the Holy City. This is at least at the level of a leader, it's really limitless. Tang Yu also secretly sighed, this guy is truly amazing, no wonder he can win the championship of the World University competition. The strength of this silver-armored general may even be able to slay the commanding-level demons on horseback. And this terrifying pressure, if the students were still here, they would probably faint from fear. Lu Xian saw that the two of them had not calmed down for a long time, and he also felt a hint of pride in his heart. This was much stronger than summoning. This talent is not without its drawbacks, it is also very wasteful and useless. A leader-level spirit requires 300 to 500 million, and to enhance Zhao Yun's current strength, he has to swallow 5 leader-level spirits. To sum up, it's about 2 billion yuan. Even if we sell all of Lu Xian's wealth, we can't make up for it. Fortunately, he was able to swallow the remaining souls, about 10 of which were equivalent to 1 elite soul. That is to say, Lu Xian had to kill 50 commanders in order to stack Zhang Fei or Ma Chao to the peak of the commander level. This is only at the level of a commander. At the level of a monarch, Lu Xian couldn't even imagine selling too much money. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. 1 spirit per day, too luxurious. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. 1 spirit per day, too luxurious. I've told you all that there are no totems in Bo City. I really don't know why you're staying here. We don't have any extra accommodation here, so we can only make it a pity for you to sleep in a tent. This small village doesn't have any hotels, so we can only take out a portable tent to clear the air. There are quite a few of these in the military headquarters. Ah, we are so miserable. Jiang Xiaojun was very forced to speak, but the speed of his construction was not slow at all. Since he dared to search for totems, he must have practiced the technique of building tents. Sleeping in a tent would be great, but why is it just one? We're just 2 people. Lu Xian has a little mental cleanliness, and is difficult to accept being squeezed into a tent with a man. If he were a sister, he would not refuse. Cough cough, you 2 big men, with such a big tent, you can just squeeze and make do with it. With a dry cough, there were also many military mages sleeping in tents, and they were able to find one in a short period of time. You go to bed first, I'll meditate for a while. After speaking, Lu Xian immediately entered the cultivation stage. He is now at the 3rd level of the Undead series, and if he wants to break through to the super level as soon as possible, he cannot fall behind in his usual cultivation. As long as the Undead faction enters the super level, Zhao Yun's strength can further advance. As for the Monarch level spirit, the family should have 1 or 2 stocks. Only when Zhao Yun reached the level of Monarch and faced the Asian Magic Association and the Holy City, did Lu Xian have a certain degree of self-protection ability. And after reaching the super level, Lu Xian can also summon a guardian spirit, most likely one of the 5 tiger generals. After all, his surname is Lu. Damn it, you're so curly, you've been practicing all night. For normal people, meditation is a very laborious task, and excessive practice may even lead to fainting. But for Lu Xianlai, he has done this not once. As long as he swallows a servant-level spirit for the guardian spirit and feeds it back, the energy he receives will be enough for him to practice continuously for a whole day, and he will still be energetic the next day. As for the storage of spirits and remnants, I'm sorry, he has an undead system and an independent undead space, so he doesn't need any undead vessels at all. I don't have time to practice during the day. Lu Xian naturally said that under the feedback of his spirit, he was more energetic than sleeping a night. This is not the reason why you secretly seduced me. Jiang Xiaojun grumbled in dissatisfaction, promising to fish together, but unexpectedly you were secretly making progress. Let's go, have breakfast. It's time to get down to business. The real thing Lu Xian said was naturally Baiyang, but when it came to the ears of Jiang Xiaojun, it naturally turned into a totem. Right, totems, even they don't know where we should start, said Jiang Xiaojun. Zhang Kong is already the highest officer in Bucheng, and he knows nothing about Bucheng totems. It may not be easy to find this little clue. Lu Xian turned his head to look at Jiang Xiaojun and slowly said, this Bo City is just such a big place. Just a little inquiry will reveal it. That's right, if there's really no way, let's go to the Fishman village. Didn't you say that Fishman village is a ghost place? Remember this, I don't care anyway. There's a clue to Qinglong here as you mentioned. If it's not there, I won't end up with you. Jiang Xiaojun snorted angrily. Lu Xian, this bad friend, always treats him like a tool, treating him as if he doesn't know. A tent for experience and discussion. When Lu Xian and his wife arrived here, it was already crowded with people, including teachers and soldiers. They are high-level mages from big cities, they are too young, aren't they? This is too shocking. In his early 20s, he is on the same level as the leader of the Slaying Sky. How can we survive? It doesn't mean that all mages pay attention to the World University competition. For these soldiers, it's good to be able to protect their own territory. There's no need to focus on major events in the world. However, even so, they also heard about their cultivation, and some even couldn't sleep all night last night. Just like the frog at the bottom of the well didn't go out of the well, suddenly a big enough frog blocked the well. Just as everyone was sighing, a military mage in the corner showed an expression that looked like he had eaten what Ori had given. This person is Lu Xian's target Baiyang. As a member of the Black Cult, seeing such an exaggerated talent of a mage naturally makes jealousy sore. When he joined the Black Church at that time, the church promised to take him further, but the result is that he is still a beginner mage. There are only a few more black animal demons, but it's difficult to deal with mid-level mages, let alone high-level mages. If he hadn't encountered a genius with extraordinary talent like Lu Xian, Baiyang wouldn't have had any disrespect towards the Black Church, but now he just wants to curse his mother. Your grandmother's black cult is playing false propaganda for me. What I want is not a black animal demon, but cultivation. Shua. Although he was cursing his mother in his heart, Baiyang dared not reveal his identity. Jia Du joined, but he couldn't quit, and he understands the terror of the Black Church. If the people above notice that he wants to defect, it will be difficult for him to die. My first Baiyang series is the Summoning series, but in the end, there is only the Summoning series, which is tragic. In fact, the cultivation of a mage is similar to cultivating immortals, and these four elements are very important. Wealth, couple, and land. Wealth is equivalent to the power behind the scenes and one's own financial resources. When a mage cultivates to the end, there is no need for money. Middle level requires spiritual seeds, high level requires soul seeds, and even magical tools and tools require money. This couple refers to social connections. The magical world is ultimately a modern society, and social connections are still very important. For example, if you learn from a high-level mage, you can also avoid many detours when practicing. Dharma refers to the talent of a mage. No matter how good the talent is, without the first two, one can only move forward with difficulty. Mo Fan also relied on the little loch to rise to power. Earth is equivalent to a holy land for cultivation, such as the three-step pagoda, the holy spring of earth, the altar of the void, and so on. If you want to make rapid progress in cultivation, this is also indispensable. And Baiyang has nothing to offer, except for a summoning type. He can't even break through the middle level. In fact, the Black Church is ultimately a cult with a pyramid scheme nature. If there are any terrifying secrets, it would not be like a street mouse, hiding in the dark every day to survive. And Baiyang, the lowest level believer, is actually a cannon fodder. He is usually in a free-range state, and when he needs to use it, he is a chess piece that can be discarded at any time. This type of model was sold and happily counted money for the owner. However, this kind of person deserves to die millions of times and is not worth pitying at all. In the end, Baiyang is also for the crazy declaration of the cult that is unnecessary. Since you have made this choice, you must pay the price for your actions. Not just a Baiyang, but countless members of the Black Church have an indelible past, and each black animal demon represents an innocent life. The despair they endured, Lu Xian would reward Baiyang 100 times more. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The bait has been lowered. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The bait has been lowered. Lu Xian glanced around and quickly noticed Baiyang in the corner. Although he had not met him before, everyone else was shocked. Only this guy dared not look this way, and his face even turned a little pale. It's probably not possible to directly attack this guy. Even if Jiang Shaojuan's spiritual connection can expose his secrets, it's difficult to explain afterwards, so we still need to plan it. Lu Xian began to calculate in his heart, maybe he would fall for it himself. These students are also too immature. They don't even have basic survival skills one by one. I think they will encounter demons, and not a single one can release magic. Instructor Luo Yunhua said very directly. The teachers next to them all shrugged their faces, and the performance of the students was indeed somewhat unsatisfactory. Moreover, there is Lu Xian, a talented student from the Pearl School, watching from the side. If he behaves well, what if he gets into the pearl school? Why, are you two still interested in their experiences? Zhang Kong did not exclude the two from the outside, but instead asked curiously. Only by watching these new wizards can I not forget my original intention of magic. Lu Xian's mouth curved slightly upwards, and standing at the peak of magic was his original intention. It makes sense. Watching them also reminds me of when I first learned magic. Zhang Kong smiled and spent time with a genius like Lu Xian, feeling like he was back in his time with the Guofu team. This smile is a bit strange, especially in the eyes of these soldiers. It doesn't fit their boss's personality. So I particularly admire you educators who have led them on the path of magic, and you are all indispensable. Lu Xian praised these teachers, but his attention was always on Tang Yu. Tang Yu's appearance and figure were so beautiful in his heart, the most perfect beautiful teacher in his mind. This is all due. Zhang Jiangluo's face lit up with a smile, praised by a genius like Lu Xian, and he also had the capital to boast in the future. Shui Mushing looked at the flattering Zhang Jiangluo, his eyes full of contempt. Did he have the demeanor of a teacher? This ice mage is pretty good, and the team he leads is also neat and disciplined, Lu Xian said. The teams have not set off for long, and this place is located at a high altitude with a clear view. The itinerary of several teams can be seen at a glance. He is Mu Bai from our class, from the Ice family's Mu family. Upon hearing this, Shui Mushing immediately ran over and introduced himself. The Mu family. Can it be a division of the Mu family? Jiang Xiaojun gave Lu Xian an elbow and whispered. Otherwise, but Mu's virtues may seem indifferent to them. Lu Xian's voice was not too low, and everyone in the tent heard him. Mu's. The Mu family. The Mu family is in charge of most of the resources in Bo City, and in their eyes, it is already an irreconcilable presence. As for the Mu family, they actually don't know much about it, so Zhang Kong and Tang Yu only understand Lu Xian's meaning. This guy even dares to comment on Mu Shi. Tang Yu was shocked. The Mu family is not comparable to the Mu family in Bucheng. Even high-level mages are countless, and most importantly, the Mu family has a forbidden spell. Mu is one of the giants in China and has a considerable reputation even internationally. Behind Lu Xian, the Lu family is a semi-reclusive family, and no one knows whether there is a forbidden curse. Zhang Kong looked at Lu Xian with envy. This is the vitality that young people should have. I thought I was also so spirited back then, but reality gave him a big pussy. You're also talking about the Mu family, tsk tisk. Jiang Xiaojun licked his tongue, his eyes full of contempt. Others were afraid of the Mu family, but he was not afraid. Not to mention that, this Mu Bai is really good, a natural leader. Lu Xian gave a very fair evaluation, but in fact, his fate is quite tragic, and he doesn't even know who his own father is. Shui Mushing's old face smiled like a chrysanthemum, making Zhang Jianguo next to him envious. Zhou Min's team is actually quite good, Tang Yu suddenly said. Generally, the team's adjustment is not good. Lu Xian shook his head. Although Zhou Min's team has a luxurious lineup, if their opinions cannot be unified, the speed of their progress will be much slower. This guy is not against me. Tang Yuemei's eyes showed a hint of displeasure, and just as she made a comment, she was denied. As time passed by, it was also evening. At their current speed, it may take about 10 days to arrive. Zhang Kong said with a stern face, if the soldiers were to travel for a maximum of 3 days, they would have spent twice as much time. Take your time, isn't this also for the sake of experience? Shui Mushing rubbed his palms, but the students performed poorly, and these teachers naturally turned pale. For the first time in the wilderness, it's already very good. Lu Xian was very clear about the difficulty level of looking at the map for the first time in the wilderness. It was great if they didn't circle around in the wilderness. Anyway, their performance in my eyes is always beat. Zhang Kong snorted, just at this level, how can we face demons in the future? Upon hearing these words, both Xue Mushing and Zhang Jiangwo's expressions looked ugly. In previous years, it was just a routine, but I didn't expect this beheading to be so unfeeling. In fact, B's grades are already good, but there are many students in the top class who want to get into top-tier universities, such as Mu Bai and others. Without A, it is difficult to get into an ideal university. I think Mu Bai is at least A. Lu Xian said slowly that, from a matter of fact, giving Mu Bai an A in leadership ability is definitely not a problem, and even getting an S level is not a problem. He doesn't have much concern either. If Zhang Kong can be petty, he can't be honest. In terms of identity, the level of the 5-star Hunter Master is the same as that of the Mayor. Although he is only a 2-star Hunter Master, his status is not much worse than that of the Slayer. It's still early to say these things, it depends on whether they can complete the bounty, otherwise it's all B, said Zhang Kong with his hands around his chest. A few teachers changed their faces greatly, and what they agreed on was just their performance. Why did they change their mind again? Lu Xian let out a sigh, this Zhang Kong is really proud and charming, I don't know who to learn from. This task inherently carries certain risks. If it weren't for Mo Fan's innate dual lineage and Little Loach swallowing a stardust magic weapon, there would definitely be casualties. If Mo Fan hadn't killed the wolf beast, Zhang Kong would have become a clown. I went back to practice, but recently my cultivation has hit a bottleneck again. Lu Xuanyu just glanced at Baiyang and saw if he was hooked. Bottleneck, but aren't you just breaking through? Jiang Xiaojun is going crazy, why is this guy breaking through every day? Baiyang in the corner suddenly gave a ghostly smile, a cold gleam in his eyes, and an idea quickly surfaced in his heart. If this genius were brought into the Black Church, the Holy Church would definitely not mistreat him. Maybe he can finally break through to the middle level, jia. End of this chapter. Chapter 9 Baiyang. I didn't say anything. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Baiyang. I didn't say anything. At night. A figure sneaked out of the tent, sneaking out towards Lu Xian's tent in the dim moonlight. But Lu Xian did not choose to practice near the tent, but leaned against a big tree and squinted. A divine opportunity. The black-clothed man saw Lu Xian by the big tree and chuckled, his feet moving a little faster. This man in black is the undercover agent Baiyang. When he heard that Lu Xuanxiu was stuck in a bottleneck, he had a bad idea in his heart. Just as Baiyang was about to approach Lu Xian's eyes suddenly opened, which really startled Baiyang. The moon today is really round. Baiyang pretended to be calm and said that he had never expected Lu Xian to wake up. This is not in his plan, he just skipped the most important feeding process. I didn't expect you to be a member of the Black Church. Lu Xian said to himself, every step closer to Baiyang would feel guilty and retreat. The Black Church. What are you talking about? I can't understand why. I'm a soldier, how could I be a member of the Black Church? Baiyang said calmly. Well, I didn't intend for you to admit it yourself either. Lu Xian gave a faint smile, and a golden light flashed in his eyes. A golden rope emitting light all over his body appeared in his hand, and with a gentle flick, he immediately trapped Baiyang. This is the wonderful use of control, not limited to those rigid magic. This golden rope is not very strong, only able to trap mages below the middle level. Bastard, I'm a soldier. Why are you tying me up? Even if you're a high-level mage, you can't do it. Baiyang saw that he couldn't break free from the rope, so he looked at Lu Xian with an angry expression on his face. He was well aware that if he showed any timidity at this moment, it was very likely to be exposed. Unfortunately, no matter how good his acting skills are, Lu Xian has no intention of taking ordinary paths. With the presence of Jiang Xiaojun, no matter how much he hides, he cannot escape the control of high-level spiritual magic. Really, but you were just inviting me to join the Black Church. Lu Xian revealed a harmless smile that made Baiyang sweat profusely. Fart, I didn't say anything, you can't slander me. Baiyang said fiercely. This guy didn't play cards according to the routine. Where did he tell his identity from? It doesn't matter if you don't admit it, anyway, all your words now will become evidence in court. Lu Xuanxi paid no attention and walked straight towards the center of the military headquarters, holding onto the rope like a dog. The light falls far and wide. The golden constellation appeared behind Lu Xian, with dazzling rays of sunlight spreading throughout the entire sky. Advanced magic. He's serious. Baiyang's chin was scared off, and this guy really discovered his identity. He can only pray that Zhankong can trust him now. The dazzling white light instantly illuminated the entire sky, even more dazzling than the morning sunlight. Who the hell is playing high-level magic at night? The first person to appear was Jiang Xiaojun, whose tent was only 200 to 300 meters away. Under the strong golden light, he was the first victim. Not long after he fell asleep, this strong golden light shone directly on his face. My eyes still have a slight tingling pain, there's no room for sleep. Grandma's Lu Xian, you shouldn't have let go of the high-level magic just now, and what are you doing tying yourself up late at night? You don't have any special hobbies, do you? Jiang Xiaojun looked at Lu Xian in surprise. He didn't sleep at night and was actually tied up with a white and pure military mage. It's hard not to think it's crooked. Lu Xianbai glanced at Jiang Xiaojun, and just as he was about to speak up to explain, a strong wind blew in, and then he flew over in the air. Behind it is the advanced magic of the wind type. Wind wings. This thing is quite good for traveling, but it has a bit of demonic power. Lu Xian, I need an explanation. Seeing Baiyang tied up behind Lu Xian, Zhan Kong's face immediately became serious. Explanation. Lu Xian's acting skills skyrocketed and he cursed directly, I have to ask for an explanation from you when I step on the horse, but you're okay. You came to ask me for help, did you give me face? Slashing his forehead, his veins burst out. No one in Wucheng dared to talk to him like that yet. Lu Xian was the first one, and he was so angry that his internal organs were burned. But he's not a fool either. Lu Xian won't shoot aimlessly, there must be something he doesn't know. Did Baiyang confess to him? Although Lu Xian looks very handsome, Baiyang shouldn't be taking a deep breath. He forcefully suppressed his anger and said seriously, if Baiyang did something wrong, I apologize to you on his behalf. The most important thing is that Zhan Kong dare not confront Lu Xian. Even if the entire military headquarters of Bo City are combined, they may not necessarily be Lu Xian's opponent. No, I'm wronged. I just came out to pee. I don't know why he suddenly went crazy, I don't know anything. Upon seeing Zhan Kong appear, Baiyang immediately unleashed his acting skills, with a runny nose, tears in his eyes, and even a hint of grievance from being oppressed by evil forces. Now many soldiers have gathered around, and they all empathize with Baiyang, believing that Lu Xian is using his power to suppress others and chattering non-stop. I'll strangle it, how did this turn out like this? Jiang Xiaojun was so dumbfounded that he just slept and Lu Xian offended the entire military headquarters. He's just joking, as Lu Xian, as for finding a beginner mage. Explain, good. I'll give it to you. Just as I was about to go to bed today, I saw this guy sneaking around. After I discovered him, he actually said he came to me to discuss a big matter and said a lot of things, and suddenly asked me to join the black cult. He even said there would be a batch of resources, which looked quite tempting, but this guy is only a beginner cultivation. Those resources have no credibility at all. Even if they are real, I cannot join the black cult. Anyway, I left my words behind, and I won't let this black cult beast go. Lu Xian spoke a lot with a loud and rapid pace, but everyone who listened was even more shocked. Just because of 3 words. Black Church. This is the world's largest dark force, is Baiyang from the Black Church. It doesn't look like it's harmless to humans and animals in normal times. Zhang Kong's eyes were shocked. Lu Xian's words were very infectious, and Lu Xian's identity was also displayed there. However, Baiyang had been a soldier for several years, and his qualifications were even higher than him. Believe in Lu Xian or Baiyang, this is a multiple-choice question, defamation. He's slandering me, he's really slandering me. Upon seeing this, Baiyang quickly howled in sorrow, saying that nothing could be exposed today, otherwise there would definitely be a dead end. As long as he passes safely today, if he finds a way to escape, the military headquarters will definitely not be able to stay. His identity here must be under investigation. Lu Xian, Baiyang is a mage from our military headquarters. If you say you made a mistake, I won't argue with you today. Taking a deep breath, he couldn't believe that Baiyang was from the Black Church, and the expression on Baiyang's face didn't seem like he was acting. Perhaps Lu Xian was in a daze and then went through a bunch of messy operations, and then made a mistake. Are you sure you want to protect him? Lu Xian took a deep look at Zhang Kong. His acting skills were always on the line, and his tone even had a hint of coldness. Unless you have evidence, you cannot touch a single strand of his hair. He said with a resolute and ruthless tone, showing no mercy on his face. It's simple. Jiang Xiaojun is a high-level spiritual mage, you can tell with just one look. End of this chapter. Chapter 10 Tang Yu. Dead Straight Man. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 10 Tang Yu. Dead Straight Man, no. Baiyang looked at another young man, never realizing that he was actually a spiritual mage. He howled in his heart, even though it was a hidden fart. He finally tasted the despair of those who had been refined into black animal demons by him, and at the same time, he felt very frustrated, even though he didn't say anything. But now what he said is useless, even if he says he really didn't say anything, he can't wash away the suspicion on his body. What exactly is this guy's background? He must have received some insider information, otherwise he wouldn't have discovered himself. Soul Master. Zhang Kong was very surprised. He didn't expect to be a rare soul-type mage. He had already carefully studied the magic types of the strongest people. I thought Jiang Xiaojun was just Lu Xian's follower, but I didn't expect him to be a high-level spiritual mage. After Lu Xian regained his composure, he naturally did not forget his task and dragged Baiyang towards the distance. Jiang Xiaojun immediately said. Hello, I caught this person and I should be interrogating him. Ida, come out and play. I'll tidy up Baiyang and hand him over to you. Trial meeting. At first, he was able to join the Nationalist Army team more because of the support of his family. Otherwise, his combat power and magic skills were slightly inadequate, and a large number of people in China could replace him. What I want is to torture him, don't kill him all at once. Seeing Lu Xian smile, Baiyang trembled all over. He would rather accept the flames than face this guy. Zhang Kong also calmed down. After all, Lu Xian was also a great hero, but his attitude was like treating a prisoner, which was really impolite. She said it was an opportunity, but in fact, she had already indirectly agreed. After being scolded several times in a row, Lu Xian also became angry and sarcastically said, when I said to slay the leader, I remember you said you wanted to protect Baiyang. Is it possible that you still plan to protect him now? Is there something wrong with the brain? I deserve to be single. I'll go too. Lu Xian, Baiyang is from our military headquarters, and it's not your turn to handle it. Zhang Kong glanced at Baiyang, who seemed to have already accepted his fate, and sighed inwardly. He had already believed in everything, but he didn't expect his subordinates to hide such great harm. Lu Xian rolled his eyes. You used to shout every day. My second brother is unparalleled in the world. These two demons. I'll handle it alone, so don't come. Just because I give you face doesn't mean I lower you a bit. Condition. Standing over 8 feet tall, with dark skin, tiger-backed and bare waist, and leopard-headed and eye-catching, a tall and powerful man appeared behind Lu Xian. It was Zhang Fei, one of the 5 tiger generals. Master, won't you just let me deal with this guy? He's so weak that I'm afraid I'll kill him with just one spear. He, I am naturally willing to hand over this Baiyang to teacher Tang Yu, but I have one condition. Tang Yu immediately began to brainstorm. Lu Xian is both handsome and talented, almost overlapping with his ideal Prince Charming. Everyone was in an uproar. This is the Black Church. If you put off such a high hat, it would be either death or injury. Zhang Kong's face suddenly turned red with anger. He was used to dominating the Bo city and forgot about Lu Xian's identity. Ah! I can't do this. The thought of Lu Xian calling himself uncle brother in the future made Jiang Shaojun feel very satisfied. Lu Xian, I was impulsive. I'm sorry. Lu Xian immediately said, although Baiyang couldn't die immediately, just take a breath. Especially for this group of military mages, they cannot accept this fact at all. With Baiyang's warning, who can be sure if there are still undercover agents? I also have some impoliteness. Baiyang is now at a loss for words, and under the high-level mage of the soul department, any explanation is powerless and pale. Ha, you all have to die. Even if I die, you will come down and bury me. If you have the ability, kill me. I'm waiting for you down here. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Fei immediately became anxious and nodded his head, saying, No, my lord. You don't know, but I'm actually the best at cleverness. Even my second brother can't compare to me. Please keep an eye on it, I promise to poke him 100 holes. Tang Yu was momentarily stunned. With such a perfect imperial sister teacher in front of you, how could you be interested in a beast from the Black Church? I'm suffocating my old Zhang. Finally, I can come out and stretch my muscles and bones. Just as both sides were in a state of tension, teacher Tang Yu walked over and gave Lu Xian a deep glance before slowly saying, I am a probationary judge from the Trial Association. I came to Buqing to search for clues about the Black Cult, but I didn't expect you to come up with it. Professional matters should be handed over to professionals. Let me handle Baiyang. I said 2 people can't calm down. Lu Xian's eyes flickered with coldness, and a chill directly chilled Jiang Shaojun's back. Zhang Kong looked at the crazy Baiyang, his heart burning with anger. As a soldier, he naturally had a deep hatred towards the Black Church. He is well aware that Baiyang is an undercover agent in the military headquarters, which means that the Black Holy See must be plotting something. The current Bo city is not safe at all. Baiyang, I advise you to shake out what you know quickly, otherwise I will let you taste the taste of flame barbecue. If you don't do it, I'll have to let Meng Qi come out, Lu Xian said immediately. 216, 173, 111, 185 He is not a stingy person either. Since Zhang Kong apologized, this matter can be exposed. Lu Xian quickly calmed down. It was because he was too deeply involved in the scene. This was originally a scene he did, and Zhang Kong was completely covered in a drum, so his tone became a bit aggressive. What? Lu Xian had a bewildered expression on his face, completely unable to understand how Tang Yu was involved in this, but he shook his head and said, I'll give you Baiyang later, but not now. Zhang Kong now has an uncontrollable anger and said with full anger. Lu Xian smiled at Baiyang's evil charm, and his temperament became sinister and awe-inspiring. Baiyang went crazy directly, and his crazy smile made everyone's hearts cold. Compared to Zhang Kong, Lu Xian's tone towards Tang Yu was much better. Who made Zhang Kong drag an official tone that made him very unhappy. If you are willing to join the trial, I can consider it. Everyone was so surprised that they couldn't close their mouths. The melons today are a bit big, and I'm afraid they won't be able to digest them all day. I have no objection. Zhang Kong has also calmed down now, for a traitor is not worth it. Jiang Xiaojun was overjoyed and secretly made up his mind that his sister must hold on to him. Zhang Fei said casually, the 8-zhang snake spear in his hand flashing with a cold light. Baiyang has completely collapsed, for the sake of knives and tribulations, for the sake of fish and meat. Ah 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 dot. A terrifying cry echoed through the sky, even Zhang Kong and others from hundreds of meters away could hear this mournful and tearing cry. What exactly did Lu Xian do? End of this chapter.